What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team FISHKNUCKLES YouTube channel. Today is Wednesday, which pretty much cover whatever I want to. Sorry, I just got back from work. Ran up the stairs. Obviously, I'm out of shape. But today, by the title of the video, we're going to talk about how you could prevent cheating. Cheating is a big topic this year and last year. So this past weekend, there was the Latin America International Championship, wherein top 8, I don't know exactly where, a guy cheated on stream. Now, whether it was 100% or not, there's people saying it's not 100%, some people say are 100%. Don't know, not my decision to say. But what he ended up doing was he would take, let's say this top card was a Rangaroo, right? And so the idea was when he shuffled where that one card was always on top, and then his opponent didn't cut his deck. So when he drew a card, boom, oh my goodness, it's a Rangaroo. What a magic trick. But in hindsight, it wasn't a magic trick. So how can we stop this? The biggest thing is you can obviously just cut your opponent's deck. And this is not the only instance. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Worlds had a big thing as well. The guy who got second place would end up getting DQ'd or banned with the Malamar deck. I can't remember exactly what happened. I think it's the same thing. He had a card somewhere on top of his deck, in the middle of a deck, and then he presented his deck to be cut. The Schultz brother, I think that's Robin. Yeah, Robin would cut his deck, and it was basically where the guy wanted to cut his deck because when he cut it, supposedly there was like a little bridge there or something. And so Robin, of course, just was like, oh, okay, I'm going to cut there because it's the easiest spot to cut. But that's one of the ways you can do it, is cut. But there are ways for your opponent to basically manipulate the way you cut your deck. So that's always not the best answer. So what we're going to go over today is one thing you could do to help prevent stacking, people cheating against you. And that's just, let me take my deck out real quick. The first cards don't have anything. So when your opponent presents their deck to you, you basically go 1, you just shuffle once, you just riffle right there. And that by itself, it's going to rearrange the top through the middle. So that's what you want to do. You want to put some cards on top throughout the middle. You can see that when I did it, there's some going right there between the top and the middle. So that riffle shuffle right there, boom, 1 riffle shuffle. Your opponent automatically doesn't know where stuff is. Number 2, same thing. Just mimic the same thing. You can take it from the middle if you want to. You could go from the middle, cut again. But that leaves the middle kind of on top. So basically what I'm trying to get at is you just cut your opponent's deck. You just do that little bridge shuffle 3 times. 1, 2, and then 3. And then within 3 to 5 times, whichever makes you feel more comfortable, your opponent shouldn't have any idea where their cards are if you're worried about them stacking. Now, one thing they can do is after you shuffle their deck is they can cut it. They are allowed to cut their deck. So don't be worried if they cut their deck. That's not illegal. They could do that. So you can shuffle your opponent's deck. And what I would try to do is get in the habit of doing it every single game, every single tournament, even during practice, during test playing. You are shuffling whoever you're playing against, your friend. If you're playing, I guess if you're just test playing, you can't really do anything. But if you're playing against your friends or whatever, you shuffle their deck. And it doesn't matter if it's your friend or not. When I was in North Carolina last year for regionals, in round 8, I would play against my good friend Kyle, and Kyle would shuffle my deck every single turn. I was like, Kyle, we're best friends. What are you doing? And he was like, sorry, man, force of habit. I just do it every single time. And that's a good thing, right? So you want to keep in the habit of shuffling your opponent's deck, no matter who it is. Friend, mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever it is, who you're playing against, cousin, whatever, you shuffle their deck. And do it 3 or 5 times, right? It's not that big of a deal. It's not going to take too much time. You just go 1, you go 2, and then 3. Like, literally, that's all I took. It took maybe, like, what, 5 to 10 seconds? And you do that every single time. And not only does this ensure your opponent's not stacking against you or anything like that, it basically just helps you out. And plus, some people get like really, this is kind of like mind game as well. It's probably not really a topic of discussion, but some people are like, oh man, they're shuffling my deck, so they're really serious. So it might intimidate them and maybe put them in the mindset that you're a really good player. So you could, do that as well. But I would say get in the mindset of just shuffling whoever's deck it is every single time they go. If they look at their deck, you need to cut their deck. I can't say this enough. Now, in the finals or top 4, whatever happened, top 8, like I said, I don't really know. I didn't really pay too much attention about. When the guy when he didn't cut his deck, his argument was, well, sometimes I cut, sometimes I don't cut. Well, if you always shuffled their deck, if you give like a 3 to 5 riffle shuffles, then they can't mimic that. They can't follow along what you're doing. And if you do different kind of riffles, you do like a little bit of riffles, and you do like 5 riffles and stuff like that, then your opponent really doesn't know what's happening. And so that's the big thing here, is you want to make sure that you're riffle shuffling your opponent's deck, and that way they can't cheat, they can't put cards on top of the deck, they can't mimic the order of their cards, anything like that. So I would say that's probably the best way to do to prevent cheating. Also, I know this didn't happen this weekend, but I've done videos about this before where I talk about, hey, when your opponent is playing, don't sit here and go, like, you just like constantly you're just like looking at your cards, and you're just shuffling, and you're like not really paying attention. Just put your cards down. This is what I would say, because I've been playing since like Copycat was a really big deal. What you could do is, when you have your hand, spring your hand down, like you just lay like 5 flat like this, and your opponent can see your hand. And basically, you can just watch your opponent the whole time. You just literally sit there and you just watch your opponent. You count how many cards in their hand. You go, okay, they have 5. Then they Ultra Balled, which means they're down to 2 because they Ultra Balled with 2 cards. Oh, they grabbed a card, so now they're up to 3. So these are very things you need to do. And that's my other big thing as well, is I see people not paying attention to their opponent. Like, literally, I'll see people, like, you can look around and you can see people like not paying attention to the game. You can see them looking at the people beside them's game. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? Your opponent can literally cheat against you right now by palming cards, by grabbing cards out of the deck, whatever they want to. So make sure you're paying attention to your opponent. You just watch them. And you put your hands down, you don't look through your discard pile, and then you just wait. And then when it's your turn, that's when you go through your discard pile. You look through your hand again. Your hand doesn't change during your opponent's turn unless they end doesn't really exist anymore. So the big thing now is like Marsh Shadow, which even then every deck's not playing Marsh Shadow. So your hand's going to stay the same. Don't worry, it's going to be the same 3 to 7 cards, whatever it is. So don't just look at your hand, look through your discard pile, pay attention to your opponent. That's another big thing as well that we have sometimes, is people have not paid attention. The other thing as well, and I know I'm guilty of this sometimes, is drawing extra cards. I got called twice. During when Marsh Shadow was first released, I forgot, I was like shuffling, and it's just so like, oh, I'm gonna get 6 cards. One thing I would suggest doing is, when somebody like plays a card to make your hand shuffle, like a Marsh Shadow or whatever, you pick up your deck and you count how many cards. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, this is not so much like helping cheating. This help you pay attention and focus. I don't want anybody getting prize penalties, because that 2 prize penalty is really big deal nowadays. So make sure you just you count them out. Don't just palm 5 cards. You're like, oh man, I got 5. Oh, I drew too many. Or you just draw 5 off the top too quick. Just count them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you pay attention. Like I said, I've done it before, where I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm like, oh man, just hit 6. But since you haven't seen it, you can reverse it. So that's a big thing as well. When you hit 6, you're like, oh man, he played Marsh Shadow and you picked the last 2. Not saying it's foolproof. I'm saying that's probably the best way, because you're not seeing your cards. The cards are laying out. Anybody can see it. Your opponent can see it. I can see it. Everybody can see it. So if you accidentally draw too many that way, and you haven't seen your cards, and they're laying in a way that you and your opponent can both agree that you did the 6 that way, then you're fine. You get in trouble once you see the 6 cards, and then you start knowing what cards are what. So that's a big thing as well. Make sure you count how many cards you have out. But the big thing of this video is, when your opponent looks at their deck, just riffle shuffle it 3 to 5 times. 3 to 5 times is all I'm saying. Now, every single time, like I said, every single time that they're looking at their deck, I would do it. Yes, I know it takes seconds and whatever, games have to be quick, but the format's kind of fast anyway. You should be able to finish 3 games in I 50 minutes or whatever the time limit is you're playing in, 1 to 30. Like, you should have plenty of time. You should never have to worry about time being called on you. As long as you and your opponent both playing at a respectable pace, you should be good to go. Don't worry about the shuffling adding too much extra time. The other big thing is make sure you're paying attention. I've done videos of this before where I literally like just pay attention to your opponent. Just do the math as they're playing cards. Okay, they played I don't even know what cards are. Really, Cynthia, right? They played Cynthia, right? So you count, and they have 6 cards in their hand, and then they use a nest ball, so they have 5 now. And then at the end of the turn, you could even go, hey, how many cards in your hand? And they go 7. You're like, holy cow, hold on. You played a Cynthia and a nest ball, and now you have 7 cards. What happened here? You have too many cards now. So that's the other big thing as well, is make sure you pay attention. You shuffle your opponent's deck, and then, like I said, the last thing is not too much of a cheating thing. It's more for you and yourself. Make sure you count how many cards are when you're drawing every single time. So there we go, guys. A little quick short video of how to prevent cheating against you and how to help you in the tournament. If you like these kind of videos, let me know. I have, like I said, been playing for like 9-10 years now, so I've done it. I've seen it all, and I heard it all, and oh my goodness. But yeah, that's my little advice for today. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or anything, let me know, and maybe we'll make another video about like how to help with XYZ. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow for Expanded Thursday. I'm excited. Alrighty, bye.